The days following Kyle Busch's reported death felt unreal. At racetracks across America, something was missing. The noise was still there. The engine still screamed through the corners. Fans still packed the grandstands. But emotionally, NASCAR no longer felt the same. Because for more than 2 decades, Kyle Busch had been impossible to ignore. And now suddenly, he was gone. During the first race weekend after May 21, 2026, the atmosphere became almost unbearably emotional. Drivers stood silently on pit road before the race. Crew members lowered their heads. Even longtime rivals who once fought Kyle aggressively on the track appeared visibly shaken during interviews. Some fans cried openly in the stands. Others held homemade signs that read, "Forever Rowdy. We love you, Kyle. Legends never die." Then came the tribute laps. And that was the moment many people finally broke emotionally. As engines roared under the lights, several drivers reportedly completed slow ceremonial laps honoring Kyle Busch's memory. His old highlights played across giant speedway screens while commentators struggled to keep their voices steady. The crowd stood together. Thousands of fans. Completely silent. For one haunting moment, NASCAR felt less like a sport and more like a grieving family. And through all of it, cameras occasionally focused on one heartbreaking figure. Brexton Busch. The young boy fans had watched grow up beside his father. The child Kyle once proudly lifted into victory lane celebrations. The son who dreamed of becoming a racer just like his dad. But now, Brexton looked completely different. Quiet. Emotionally exhausted. Lost. Many fans noticed he barely spoke publicly during memorial events. He stayed close to family members, sometimes staring silently at the racetrack, sometimes lowering his head as people approached him with condolences. And honestly, viewers watching from home found it difficult to handle emotionally. Because suddenly, the racing world wasn't just mourning a NASCAR champion. They were watching a child grieve his father in front of millions of people. Then, several days later, everything changed. According to emotional reports circulating online, Brexton finally agreed to say a few words privately during a small memorial gathering connected to the family. Nobody expected the moment to become so heartbreaking. Witnesses reportedly described the room as completely silent when Brexton began speaking. At first, his voice was barely audible, as if he was trying not to cry. And then he reportedly said something that immediately shattered everyone emotionally. "I still wait for him to walk through the door." That single sentence spread across social media within hours. Fans everywhere reacted instantly. Parents cried listening to it. NASCAR supporters reposted the quote millions of times. Even people who had never followed racing suddenly felt emotionally connected to the story. Because in that moment, Brexton Busch wasn't just the son of a celebrity. He was simply a grieving child missing his dad. And according to those present, Brexton continued speaking through tears. He reportedly talked about the small things he missed most. The late-night racing conversations. The coaching advice before youth races. The way Kyle would push him to stay focused, even when he was tired. Then Brexton allegedly revealed another emotional detail that stunned many people in the room. He said his father never wanted him to quit racing. Even during difficult moments. Even during pressure. Even when the criticism became overwhelming. Brexton reportedly shared that Kyle constantly reminded him, "If you love racing, never let fear stop you." For longtime NASCAR fans, hearing those words felt devastatingly powerful. Because suddenly, Kyle Busch no longer felt like the loud, controversial superstar people saw on television. Instead, he sounded like a father trying to prepare his son for life. And the emotional reactions online became enormous. Fans flooded comment sections with messages of support. Many admitted they cried listening to Brexton's words. Some parents wrote that the interview was almost too painful to watch. Others shared memories of losing their own fathers. Suddenly, the tragedy surrounding Kyle Busch became something even bigger than sports. It became human. Deeply human. Meanwhile, emotional tributes continued pouring in from across the NASCAR world. Several drivers reportedly reached out privately to the Busch family. Former teammates described Kyle as fiercely loyal behind the scenes. Even people who once disliked him publicly admitted they respected him tremendously as a father. One veteran NASCAR figure reportedly said, "Kyle's greatest accomplishment may not have been championships. It may have been the way he loved his kids." That quote spread rapidly online. And strangely, fans began re-watching old family clips involving Kyle and Brexton with completely different emotions. Simple moments suddenly felt heartbreaking. The smiles in victory lane. The racing lessons. The father-son jokes. Everything now carried the painful feeling of memories frozen in time. But then, during another emotional moment connected to the family, Brexton reportedly revealed something else. Something private. Something almost nobody knew. According to those close to the situation, Brexton quietly shared that during Kyle Busch's final weeks, his father allegedly tried to hide how sick he truly was from his children. And that revelation changed the entire atmosphere surrounding the tragedy. Because suddenly fans realized something terrifying. Kyle Busch may have known things were getting worse long before the public ever understood. And according to reports, there was one final conversation between father and son that Brexton would later describe as unforgettable. A conversation that supposedly happened shortly before Kyle's hospitalization in Concord, North Carolina. What Brexton revealed next made many people see Kyle Busch in a completely different way. By the time the third week of mourning arrived, the grief surrounding Kyle Busch had become something deeper than sadness. It felt personal. For years, fans had seen Kyle Busch as NASCAR's fearless villain, the aggressive competitor, the outspoken superstar, the driver who never apologized for racing hard. But after the emotional words from his son Brexton, another version of Kyle slowly began emerging. A version few people truly knew. And according to emotional reports shared by those close to the family, Brexton eventually revealed one final conversation with his father that changed everything. It reportedly happened shortly before Kyle's condition became critical. During one quiet evening at home. No cameras. No interviews. No NASCAR noise. Just a father and his son. Brexton allegedly shared that Kyle sat beside him and spoke differently than usual. Calmer. Softer. Almost emotional. At first, Brexton reportedly didn't understand why the moment felt so serious. Because throughout his life, Kyle Busch had always appeared strong. Unbreakable. But now, something felt different. And according to Brexton's emotional account, Kyle began talking about racing in a way he never had before. Not as competition, not as fame, but as legacy. He reportedly told his son, "People will remember trophies, but family is what matters most." For many NASCAR fans, those words were shocking, because they didn't sound like the public version of Kyle Busch the world had watched for decades. They sounded like a father worried about leaving his children too soon. Then came the revelation that reportedly left people in tears. Brexton claimed his father had been privately struggling far more during his final weeks than anyone realized publicly. According to the emotional account, Kyle allegedly tried to hide his worsening condition from his children because he didn't want them to feel afraid. Even while battling severe pneumonia complications, he reportedly continued encouraging Brexton's racing dreams. Still asking about practice sessions. Still watching race footage. Still trying to act like everything would be okay. That detail devastated fans online. Because suddenly, people imagined Kyle Busch, one of the toughest figures in NASCAR history, quietly fighting through pain while trying to protect his family emotionally. And Brexton's voice reportedly became especially emotional when discussing the private racing lessons his father gave him over the years. Not lessons about speed or winning, but pressure. Kyle allegedly warned him about fame, about criticism, about the loneliness that sometimes comes with success. Brexton reportedly explained that his father often stayed awake late into the night talking with him after races, sometimes discussing mistakes, sometimes discussing life itself. And according to people close to the family, one memory affected listeners more than anything else. Brexton claimed his father once told him, "Never let people decide who you are." That quote spread rapidly across NASCAR communities. Fans reposted it everywhere. Because suddenly, the loud, controversial rowdy persona felt completely different. People began realizing that behind the anger, the rivalries, and the aggressive racing style, Kyle Busch may have carried enormous emotional pressure privately for years. The pressure to win. The pressure to perform. the pressure to provide for his family while living under constant public attention. And according to emotional reports, Brexton admitted that his father sometimes struggled silently with exhaustion during the final stretch of his career. But he rarely showed weakness publicly, because Kyle Busch believed racers were supposed to stay tough, even when life became painful. As these revelations spread online, NASCAR fans began looking back at old interviews differently. Moments that once seemed ordinary suddenly carried heartbreaking meaning. The tired expressions, the emotional pauses, the quiet moments with family before races. People started wondering how much Kyle had truly been carrying alone during those final weeks before his reported hospitalization in Concord, North Carolina. Meanwhile, tributes continued growing larger across the racing world. Fans created memorial videos. Artists painted portraits. Drivers honored him with decals and tribute helmets. But perhaps the most emotional image of all remained Brexton Busch standing quietly beside his father's memory, trying to stay strong, trying to continue forward, trying to protect the legacy of the man who shaped his entire life. And according to those close to the family, Brexton made one final emotional promise during a private gathering that deeply affected everyone present. He reportedly said he wanted to continue racing not because of pressure, but because racing made him feel close to his father. That statement alone broke countless fans emotionally, because suddenly, every future race involving Brexton Busch would carry a deeper meaning. Not just competition, but remembrance. A son carrying forward the dream his father loved. And perhaps that is why the story of Kyle Busch's reported death affected people so deeply. It wasn't only about NASCAR. It was about family, about time, about the terrifying reality that even legends are human. In the end, the championships mattered. The victories mattered. The rivalries mattered. But as fans continued leaving flowers, messages, and tributes beneath images of Kyle Busch, one truth became impossible to ignore. The most powerful legacy he left behind may not have been found on a racetrack at all. It lived inside the people who loved him, inside his wife, inside Rowdy Nation, and especially inside his son. Because long after the engines fall silent, long after the grandstands empty, and long after the headlines disappear, Brexton Busch will still carry the lessons his father gave him. The late-night talks, the racing advice, the love hidden beneath the pressure and fame. And maybe that is what makes this story so heartbreaking. Not simply that NASCAR lost a legend, but that a son lost his hero. Even though Kyle Busch is gone, the voice, the legacy, and the lessons he left behind may continue racing forever. The racing world had seen crashes. It had seen retirements. It had seen legends fade away beneath the roar of engines and the blur of checkered flags. But nothing prepared NASCAR fans for the terrifying headlines that suddenly began spreading across social media in May of 2026. At first, people refused to believe them, because to millions of fans around the world, Kyle Busch wasn't just another driver. He was Rowdy, the fearless villain, the aggressive racer who never backed down from a fight. The man fans either loved passionately or booed louder than anyone else on the track. But no matter what people thought of him, everyone respected him. And suddenly, there were whispers that something was seriously wrong. It started quietly. Just days before the Coca-Cola 600 weekend, rumors began circulating online that Kyle had canceled several appearances unexpectedly. Fans noticed he looked exhausted during his final public interviews. His voice sounded weaker. His face looked pale beneath the studio lights. At first, many believed it was just stress. After all, Kyle Busch had spent decades pushing his body and mind to impossible limits. But then came the reports no one expected. According to multiple reports connected to those close to the situation, Kyle had become seriously ill with severe pneumonia while in North Carolina, and behind closed doors. The condition reportedly worsened far faster than anyone anticipated. The illness allegedly turned into sepsis, a life-threatening complication. And suddenly, one of NASCAR's toughest competitors was fighting the most terrifying battle of his life, away from the racetrack. Fans began noticing something strange. Kyle's social media accounts went silent. No race updates. No interviews. No sarcastic, rowdy comments. Nothing. And for longtime NASCAR fans, that silence felt frightening. especially because Kyle Busch had always been loud, always visible, always impossible to ignore. Then, late one evening, reports emerged that he had reportedly been hospitalized in Concord, North Carolina. The news exploded across racing communities almost instantly. Fans flooded comment sections praying it wasn't true. Others searched desperately for updates. Some still believed he would recover, because Kyle Busch always seemed indestructible. But behind the scenes, fear was growing. And then came May 21, 2026, the date that shattered NASCAR fans forever. Reports spread rapidly claiming that Kyle Busch had died following complications from severe pneumonia and sepsis. For several moments, the racing world almost froze. People stared at their phones in disbelief. Many fans genuinely thought it had to be fake news, because legends like Kyle Busch weren't supposed to disappear this suddenly. Not like this. Not at only 41 years old. Not while his children were still growing up. Not while fans were still expecting him to race again. And yet, the heartbreaking reports kept coming. Outside race shops and NASCAR garages, silence replaced the usual noise. Drivers who once battled Kyle aggressively on the track suddenly looked emotional during interviews. Some struggled to speak at all. Others simply shook their heads in disbelief. Because whether people loved him or hated him during races, everyone understood one thing. Kyle Busch changed NASCAR forever. 2 Cup Series championships. More than 200 victories across NASCAR's top divisions. One of the fiercest competitors the sport had ever seen. And perhaps most importantly, one of the most recognizable personalities in racing history. Rowdy Nation fans gathered online in massive numbers. Videos flooded YouTube. Tributes appeared across TikTok, Instagram, and sports networks. Old race highlights suddenly carried a completely different emotional weight. Fans replayed his victories, his angry radio messages, his emotional interviews. Even his rivalries now felt painful to revisit, because suddenly, they were memories. And as the tributes continued pouring in, another heartbreaking reality slowly emerged. Kyle Busch wasn't only a NASCAR icon. He was also a husband and a father. That realization hit fans especially hard when cameras briefly showed his family in the days following the reports. His wife Samantha appeared devastated, but it was the image of his children that truly broke people emotionally, especially his son, Brexton Busch. For years, NASCAR fans had watched Brexton grow up around racetracks. They saw Kyle proudly coaching him in youth racing, saw the smiles, the playful interviews, the father-son moments that made even hardcore racing fans emotional. Kyle often spoke about wanting Brexton to chase greatness. But now, fans suddenly feared the young boy would have to continue life without the man who taught him everything. And the silence from the family only made things more emotional. No public statements. No interviews. No explanations. Just grief. Heavy, painful grief. Meanwhile, NASCAR insiders began describing an atmosphere unlike anything they had ever witnessed before. Drivers reportedly visited quietly behind the scenes. Team members cried privately in garages. Even longtime rivals appeared shaken. Because beneath the aggressive rowdy persona, many people knew there was another side of Kyle Busch the cameras rarely showed. A quieter side. A family man. A father deeply invested in his children's lives. And according to several emotional accounts, those final weeks became incredibly difficult for the people closest to him, especially his son. Fans noticed Brexton appeared unusually quiet in public appearances following the tragedy. No smiling, no playful energy, just sadness. The kind of sadness no child should ever have to carry. And still, he said nothing publicly. For days, the silence continued, until suddenly, rumors began spreading that Brexton was preparing to finally speak. Nobody expected what would happen next. Because according to people close to the family, the emotional words Kyle Busch's son would eventually share left even veteran NASCAR reporters completely speechless. And what he revealed about his father changed everything fans thought they knew about Kyle Busch. But days after Kyle's death, his son Brexton would finally say something that left even longtime NASCAR fans speechless.